Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning. It is the Chris Hand Show. My name is Chris Hand. Joining us back in the producer box is Mac Maury, who is recovered from the Wu flu, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
Mac walked in here this morning, and he was like, he was glowing. The kid was glowing. He was like...
Vibrant.
Yeah, here, give me some sound. This was Mac's theme song walking in this morning.
The champ is here! The champ is here!
That was it.
The champ is here!
Yeah.
The champ is here! The champ is here!
All right, that's enough.
You're like, okay, that's it. Don't enjoy
All right,
it too much.
yeah, I don't know. But I did have a couple of I had a couple of texts asking, is Mac in yet?
I'm here.
He was here on time.
Woo.
Quickly enough for a secret handshake. Although
yeah.
we may have to cancel a secret handshake.
I know until
until further notice.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So here's the deal. I saw Taylor Swift and Patrick Mahomes' wife or girlfriend, I don't know if they're married. They had a secret handshake. That was a little bit too similar to ours.
I saw that too, and I
Did
was
you
going,
see
wait,
it?
what?
We basically do the exact same thing as them, except for the little hip bump,
Hip bump at the end. Yeah.
Yeah,
We don't do that.
we don't do that. We've never
We
done
don't
the
need
hip
to do
bump
that.
at the end.
Yeah, that's okay. We can refrain from that.
Oh.
But I felt like it was too close, and I may have to cancel the handshake. It's just, I'm just letting everybody know.
No.
Maybe a bridge too far.
Oh, dang it.
But Mac Maury making his triumphant entry. So
Glad to be back.
Welcome back, Mac.
Thank you.
Woo flew Maury, says 0397. He was wooing. We're happy to have Mac back. Also, lots of news happening. Joe Biden, he did something new. Well, let me start with Trump. Trump was in New Hampshire yesterday, and I often make fun of Kamala Harris for saying the same thing over and over and over again, and Joe Biden saying the same thing over and over and over again at different appearances. Because, we have the internet and we know how things work. And Trump he's been doing the same thing. He keeps telling the same joke about Biden over and over again.
You can't find his way off a stage. You ever see makes a speech, if you call it that. Okay, thank you.
He starts walking around the stage lost.
And they're screaming at him. They're saying, no, you got there, you got there.
So he's done that joke a bunch. But he may have the opportunity for a new joke because just yesterday, Biden got lost on his way to the stage. He got lost on his way to the podium, forgot where he was going. So this is, it's new. It's a new thing for Joe Biden, but he forgot where he was going while he was getting on stage.
Good afternoon, folks. I'm not introducing me. Mark is. I forgot Mark. I went straight to the podium. I apologize.
No problem. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mark. Thank you. Poor Mark wasn't going to say a word.
Well, no,
Mark
man.
just assumed stage left. And he just okay, well, I guess I'm standing behind Joe. And then Joe says, I'm not introducing me.
I'm not introducing me. Mark is. I forgot Mark. I went late.
Let me introduce Mark, who's going to introduce me real quick. So maybe we instead of getting lost off stage, we can make new jokes. He gets lost on the way on stage too now. That's our president. We're just inching towards World War III, and Joe Biden doesn't know who goes to the podium first.
Oh, man.
Gosh.
It's nice.
Here's Mark. Now he's going to.
Can you believe that? Poor Mark. Even Mark was like, what is happening? Poor Mark. I don't know who Mark is, but I just really do feel bad for him. I didn't stick around to hear what Mark had to say. I don't think anybody did. They're like, all right, I'm changing this.
Okay. All right. Sorry, Mark. Bye.
When Biden did get introduced by Mark, it was just another round of Biden versus the teleprompter.
Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Todd Young and Representative Representatives Joe Morelli and Susan Wild for their work to make this happen.
His teleprompter is like a 42-inch screen at this point, and he still can't get it right.
It's a jumbotron.
It's unreal. When he was walking away from his little press briefing, well, two things. He had to walk away because apparently he was called to the Situation Room.
I apologize. I have to go to the Situation Room with another issue that I have to deal with.
So, I don't know. I could make jokes about, like, pooping his pants and stuff like that, but I won't. We're not going to do that here.
I apologize. I have to go to the Situation Room with another issue that I have to deal with.
Things I'm not going to do.
We won't sink. We won't
We're
stoop
not
to
going to
that
sink to
level.
that level. Just not going to do it. I want to. I'll be honest. I want to. I won't. But as he's walking away, as the resident in chief is walking away, he's asked about a ceasefire. Okay.
The hostages for a ceasefire deal. Why did you?
We should have a ceasefire. Not a ceasefire. We should have those hostages released.
So he says, we need to have those hostages released, and then we can talk. Thank you, sir. Thank you. This is our president. Meanwhile, Trump is in New Hampshire, and he's just railing against Biden the whole time. This is Trump on how our enemies currently view Joe Biden. I mean, could you imagine from that last press conference? They probably don't view him favorably. They probably don't fear him.
Crooked Joe is not feared, he's not respected, and he's regarded by our enemies as a joke. They don't even believe it. When I'm president, America will be respected again like never before, just like never before.
Is he wrong? Do you think anybody respects Joe Biden? Is it hard to look at Joe Biden as anything other than a joke? He sounds weak. He seems ineffective. He is ineffective. You can just take the words out of it. Look at his actions. He's ineffective. None of this would have happened in Ukraine or the Middle East if President Trump was still our president. And now, when they're looking to send money to Israel, depending on how you feel about it, they want to tie it to funds for Ukraine. President Trump touched on that in New Hampshire as well.
Crooked Joe went before the American people and said that if you want to support Israel, then you have to give a blank check for the proxy war also in Ukraine, having to do with Russia and Ukraine, which is another one, by the way, it would have never happened if we were president. If we didn't have that election, you wouldn't have that. You wouldn't have inflation. You wouldn't have had the attack on Israel. You wouldn't have had a lot of the horrible things. The world is exploding. If you take a look, I mean, the whole world is exploding. He's
absolutely right. It just seems like we are sleepwalking our way into World War III. Elon Musk said that last night on a Twitter space. He literally says we're sleepwalking our way into World War III. Elon goes onto a Twitter space, and I mean, he brings up things that nobody's really talking about. Listen, like Elon says, so Russia has the raw materials and China has the industrial capacity. It's frankly a perfect match from a war standpoint. So I think we need to stop doing that. It's unwise, and I think it will lead to an immense risk to civilization. I want to emphasize that there's civilizational risk. There are tragedies on an individual level, tragedies on a community level, and then there's civilizational risk. And we just need to make sure we're not putting civilization itself at stake, which is World War III. And it seems like nobody's thinking about the long-term consequences of if this conflict does break out into World War III. We've been talking about it on this show because I just think it feels like it's an inevitable outcome at this point because no matter what, tensions just keep escalating. It just feels unavoidable. Trump touched on that a little bit. He brought up a Tucker Carlson interview with Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary. Here's what he had to say about that.
You know, I was very honored as a man. Viktor Orban, anyone ever hear of him? He's probably like one of the strongest leaders anywhere in the world. And he's the head of Hungary, and he runs it tough. Let me tell you, he runs it properly. He runs it strong with crime and everything else. He runs it strong. and he doesn't let terrorists into his country. They said, what do you recommend for Joe Biden if you could tell him anything? I tell him to resign and let Trump become president because nobody ran China, Russia, North Korea. Nobody ever did a job like Trump did a job. I tell him to get out, let Trump run things.
Oh, geez, in a dream world, wouldn't that be nice? Mean tweets, cheap gas, world peace, I'm in. But he brings up that Viktor Orban interview with Tucker. We actually had it on the show. In case you missed it, this is exactly what Viktor Orban, the prime minister of Hungary, said about Trump in that interview.
If you were, say, Joe Biden, what would your next move be in the war in Ukraine? What would you do?
Peace, immediately. Call back Trump. That's the only way out.
Call back Trump.
Call back Trump. Because, you can criticize him for many reasons. I understand all the discussion, but, the best foreign policy of the recent several decades belonged to him. He did not initiate any new war.
Yes.
He treated nicely the North Koreans and Russia, even the Chinese, He delivered a policy which was the best one for Middle East, Abraham Accords.
Yes.
So that was a very good foreign policy. He's criticized that he's not educated enough to understand the world politics. This is not the case. Facts count, and his foreign policy was the best one for the world in the last several decades I have seen. And if he would have been the president at the moment of the Russian invasion started, no, it would be not possible to do that by the Russians. So Trump is the man who can save the Western world and probably the human beings in the globe as well. That's my personal conviction.
And that's I mean, how do you disagree with that? Do you think that Ukraine would have popped off the same way if Trump was president? No. He went on record and told Putin, if you go after Ukraine, I'll nuke Moscow. Did they believe you, sir? Well, 5% chance, but that was enough. That's Trump's exact quote. 5% chance. 5% chance I nuke them. That's all they needed. Just a hint of crazy goes a long way. A hint of unpredictability kept the world safe. Not to mention our strong economy, a stronger southern border. I won't go as far to say it was secure, but it was stronger than it is now. Johnny B had the story, and we were going to cover it as well. For every illegal alien that has crossed the border last year, a baby was born. So if you didn't have 2 children last year, you're being outpaced by migrants. Outpaced. That's how unsecure our southern border is right now. And they know that special interest aliens are coming across the border. They know Hezbollah is coming across the border. They know Hamas is coming across the border. They know Chinese nationals are coming across the border. We can go down the list. That is the most dangerous and pressing issue to the American public right now. But they'll distract us. They'll distract us with Ukraine. They'll distract us with Israel. They'll distract us with the Speaker of the House race. I've seen so many comments about Matt Gaetz. Matt, was it really worth it? Was all this Speaker of the House stuff really worth it? It's been almost 3 weeks and no speaker. It's also been 3 weeks and we haven't funded any full overseas wars because of it. So that's pretty cool too. I'll take that. Speaker of the House stuff could be sorted out as soon as today. We're going to have audio from Byron Donalds plus audio from Trump, who he has picked for Speaker of the House, who he would nominate.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it's a sleeper.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. It's
an underdog.
Well, I don't know, but I wouldn't call it an underdog.
Oh, okay.
We'll have that audio for you coming up.
Love it.
Yeah, we'll do Byron Donalds' elevator pitch. We'll do Trump's pick for Speaker of the House and more next on the Chris Hand Show right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at USS, United Structural Systems. Now, listen, when I met the guys at USS a couple months back now, they told me that in our industry, you don't know you need us until you know you need us. And then by that point, you really need us. So if you haven't been down in your crawl space in a while, it's time to check it out and see if you need the guys at USS. Here's what you got to look for. Standing water in your crawl space. Does it feel musty down there? Do you have wet basement walls, cracks in your basement floors? That could be your house trying to tell you something. And if your house is trying to tell you something, you need to give the guys at USS, United Structural Systems, a call to check it out. The number to call is 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855. Whatever you may need, foundation repair, sinkhole repair, basement wall realignment, crawl space floor supports, or encapsulation, the guys at USS can do it all. 615-488-7855, or all the info's online, ussTN.com.
Got another plea entered in that election interference case in Georgia. We'll give you the details at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. All right, Mac Maury, you're back from your vacation to the Chiefs game. Who do you want first? Trump's pick for Speaker of the House or Byron Donald's elevator pitch for Speaker of the House?
You've been talking about Donald since day one, man. That's been your. I want to hear this pitch.
All right, here's Donald's elevator pitch to become Speaker of the House.
Look, my pitch is very simple. This is going to be a process where it's member-driven, not speaker-driven. We need to get back to work, secure our border, fund our government responsibly, and hold this administration accountable. And last but not least, our members, we got to be focused on purpose and mission. That's it.
There's been some.
I spoke to the president. I think the president is going to watch us do our process. I think he's going to be happy with who's going to be the next Speaker of the House. And I think, that's what's going to happen.
Do you want his endorsement, and what difference could that make?
Listen, I love the president. He has supported me. Of course, I've endorsed him. But right now, this is going to be a process of and by the members. And I think we're going to be done pretty quickly. Yes, sir.
Do you have enough experience to be speaker? Does that concern some of your colleagues?
Yeah, actually I do. And that's because I spent 20 years in the business community. I actually was a member of our state legislature. I've chaired committees. I know the legislative process. I worked with our colleagues up here to get a lot of policies done, H.R. 1, H.R. 2, H.R. 5, Limit, Save, Grow. But last but not least, we have a lot of talent in our leadership team and in this body. It's not about one person. It's about all our members collectively. I'm going to go ahead and go in the room, guys. I'll see you later.
All right, so my first thoughts on Byron Donald's elevator pitch is it seems like he's going the Glenn Youngkin route of being a Republican and detaching from Trump. Like, he keeps saying it's not about one member, it's about the group.
Listen, I love the president. He has supported me. Of course, I've endorsed him. But right now, this is going to be a process of and by the members.
Of and by the members. Seems like he's giving lip service to the moderates, the Tom Emmers of the group. I don't know. Just maybe he can't get the Speaker of the House if he goes full MAGA. But it just seems like those moderate, whiny rhino Republicans have a lot more power than they should. Did you get that vibe too?
Yeah.
Did you get the
kind
Glenn
of a
Youngkin?
letdown.
I like Byron Donalds.
Yeah, from what I've seen, I've really liked him before, but
He's the only guy I've ever seen go on a cable news channel and call out Hunter Biden for sleeping with his dead brother's
that was savage.
Wife.
That was savage.
He can go full no chill. But
yeah.
but it seems like he was a lot more tempered there. I don't know. Maybe he's just doing what he has to do to get elected. Could be. But that whole thing was like, felt wet blankety.
Yeah, milquetoast. Yeah.
Yep.
Very much.
Yep. Trump's pick for Speaker of the House, it's a banger. It's a sleeper pick, but I wouldn't call it. Well, maybe not a sleeper. Maybe not the favorite, but solid.
There's only one person that can do it all the way. You know who that is? Jesus Christ. Jesus came down and said, I want to be Speaker. He would do it. Other than that, I haven't seen anybody that can guarantee it. But at some point, I think we're going to have somebody pretty soon.
What do you think? I'll be honest with you. If Jesus himself came down and went full MAGA on these guys, you would have some whiny rhinos saying Jesus is an extremist. Liz Cheney would be on CNN that night going, can you believe this guy? Can you believe him? They would not be fans. I'd be down. 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's got the news.
$9:30 on the dot this Tuesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Polls are open in Franklin, where voters choose a mayor and alderman at large today. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Breaking news out of Georgia. Another plea entered in the election interference case against former President Trump. Former Trump campaign attorney Jenna Ellis pleading guilty to one count of aiding and abetting false statements in writing and will cooperate with Fulton County prosecutors. Prosecutors recommending 5 years probation and a $5,000 fine. Statewide manhunt in Tennessee. The mother of the Laverne police shooting suspect pleads for him to surrender peacefully.
And I hope he just calls my phone so I can plea to him to turn himself in.
That's John Drake Jr.'s mother, Valeria East, who tells Channel 4 she fears for her son's life. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. What's one of the biggest mistakes that I find that investors make? Well, it's typically buying based on past performance. We look at our 401k, we try to decide which fund should I buy, and tend to look at historical past performance over 3, 5, and you even hear investment advisors telling people to look at 3, 5, and 10-year track records. Problem is that what do markets do? They go up and they go down. Well, where did this have a great past performance? Here to here. So we end up buying high. We found that there was one study back in 1986, and it was called the Brinson-Hooden-Biebauer study. And they were looking at what drove investment returns more than anything else. And the study sort of looked like this. They said, stock selection, about 4% of investment differences were due to stock selection. About 2% was due to market timing differences. Asset mix, asset allocation, that was the big deal. Now, what they found, which was fascinating, was that when the pension plans engaged in these two activities, in one study it showed that 100% of the time, investment returns were lower and it increased risk. Not something you want when you're an investor. So this is something that we teach investors to help them sidestep some of these issues. Now, if you want to learn more about our approach to investing in financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call. Or you can call 615-851-1950.
Even the clumsy efforts by the RNC and the usual suspects trying to make hay out of video showing the president and first lady walking on the beach in Delaware this weekend.
Somebody thinks he looks good on the beach. I don't think so.
By the way, he also did many calls with foreign leaders and even the Pope.
If I ever did that, problems.
9:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Yes, if Donald Trump ever did that, it would have been problems. Also, Jen Psaki saying it was the usual suspects ripping into Joe Biden for being on the beach. I don't know. Is 50 Cent a usual suspect for ripping into Joe Biden? That's who else was ripping into him for being on the beach. Put on Instagram, wake the bleep up, man. We got problems. So, I don't know.
Preach 50 Cent.
Yeah. When 50 Cent is more reasonable than your elected officials, we may have a problem. We may have a problem. Now, I was talking about Byron Donalds a moment ago, and I've gotten a few texts. JT said, Donalds is actually pretty decent in what he said. Trumpers need to see that it is about America, not one man. If he is the nominee, that needs to be stated. Under Trump, America flourished. Under Joe, we were lied to, taken for stupid, and America is being destroyed. That is the choice. I think I do want to point out that I don't think my issue is with Byron Donalds being tempered in that statement and saying that it's about the members, not one man. My problem is the fact that if Byron Donalds says, yes, I have Trump's full support, yes, I fully support Trump, that opinion's not allowed. That opinion is too extreme for your moderate, whiny, rhino Republican. That's my biggest problem with it. John texted and he said, Chris, give Donalds credit. He knows what it takes to be elected speaker. He is a solid conservative, though. Unfortunately, he needs moderates to win. And again, I agree with that. He does need the moderates to win. I agree. Byron Donalds is solid. He was my favorite, honestly, from the beginning. Before we even had Jim Jordan, before we had anybody, I said I would like Byron Donalds.
Yeah, that was the name you were preaching from the get-go. That was your pick.
I think Byron Donalds is awesome. I do. My problem is that you can't say that you fully support Donald Trump, or the moderate rhino Republicans aren't going to let you be Speaker of the House. So the fact is, he had to basically pull punches, say, I don't want Trump's endorsement. I don't need it. He had to go full Glenn Youngkin in order to even attempt to get moderate, whiny Republicans on his side.
Yeah, because if he had said, oh, yeah, I'd love to have Trump's endorsement, did the exact opposite, yeah, I'd have moderates go, nope, can't vote for him.
Exactly. Also, did you see what Jason said? He said, F all of these clowns running for speaker. I nominate Mac. He can get the job done.
And I did see that, and he's right. I would get the job done.
He would get the job done.
Now, granted, most of my work will be done post-football season, but still, I'd get the job done.
I would have faith that you could do more post-football season than some of these guys could. Give Mac a 4-day work week, and he can get a lot done. I'll vouch for that.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, let's nominate Mac. As all this is happening, it does feel like we are creeping towards World War III. John Kirby said that there is an uptick of aggression in the region. There's drone attacks coming at bases in Iraq. There's all sorts of stuff happening at our embassies, protests. It's been crazy. It's been crazy. KJP was asked about the uptick in violence that we're seeing in our country and about the anti-Semitism. They said, what do you think the president thinks about? Is he concerned over this rise in anti-Semitism?
Level of concern right now about the potential rise of anti-Semitism in light of everything that's going on in Israel?
So a couple of things. We have not seen any credible threats. I know there's been always questions about credible threats, and so just want to make sure that that's out there. But look, Muslim and those perceived to be Muslim have endured a disproportionate number of hate-fueled attacks. And certainly President Biden understands that many of our Muslim, Arab Americans and Palestinian American loved ones and neighbors are worried about the hate being directed at their communities.
So she pivots a question from anti-Semitism into Islamophobia. Just in case you're keeping score at home. She was asked if the president's concerned about a rise in anti-Semitism, and she pivoted to Islamophobia. Now, listen, I'm not trying to scream from the mountaintops that Islamophobia is good, but I think that we need to honestly evaluate the situation that we're looking at. We have pro-Hamas waving protesters with Hamas flags at these pro-Palestinian rallies at college campuses all over the country. We had a mob show up in Minneapolis to the point where a driver had to flee in their car because the car was being beaten by the protesters. Now, if you look at the liberal Mockingbird media, like a Newsweek, for instance, they'll say, video shows vehicle drive through Minneapolis pro-Palestinian rally. In reality, the protesters surrounded a vehicle that made a wrong turn. It felt very much like what happened during the Summer of Love, Black Lives Matter riots. But she pivots. She pivots right to Islamophobia. Totally ignoring the question of anti-Semitism.
Arab Americans and Palestinian American loved ones and neighbors are worried about the hate being directed at their communities, and that is something you heard the president speak to in his address just last Thursday. And so one of the things that the president has done is directed his team, Homeland Security team, to prioritize prevention and disruption of any emerging threats that could harm the Jewish, the Muslim, Arab Americans, or any other communities. And that is something that the president has sought to do and since day one.
Since day one, he sought to do that. I mean, other than the attack on the 6-year-old, which was done by an absolute crazy madman who looked like he was ready to do crazy things no matter what the news cycle was, what uptick of Islamophobia have you been seeing? I've seen a lot of upticks in pro-Israel and Jewish people being assaulted. In fact, just yesterday, TPUSA staffer Peter Christos, who is Christian, he's not Jewish, but he's Christian. He was at a pro-Israel rally. He was trying to escort an elderly Jewish couple away from this pro-Israel rally. He was trying to bring them to their cars. It's a good kid. A lot of these TPUSA staffers are like younger, early 20s, good conservative kids. And this kid was helping an elderly couple to their car when they encountered pro-Hamas supporters who assaulted them, punched them, hit them with a flagpole, and just went full violence on them before police could pull them to safety. Are these pro-Palestinians, these pro-Hamas supporters at this Chicago pro-Israel rally going to be charged with hate crimes? Probably not. You only get charged with hate crimes on one side of this equation. And they'll alter the reality of two, just like Newsweek altered the reality of what happened when a crowd of protesters surround a car. They'll say, a car, video shows vehicle drive through Minneapolis pro-Palestinian rally. They don't tell you that the car was surrounded and the driver feared for their life. But KJP is worried about Islamophobia. I don't know. I haven't seen a massive uptick in that, and I do look for it. I really do. I'm sleuthing on the internet, seeing what headlines are coming up every single night. And unfortunately, I just see more headlines that show the other side being true. From Breitbart, Nazi salute, anti-Semitic slurs reportedly hurled at an LA Jewish high school football team. Members of a Jewish high school football team endured anti-Semitic slurs gestures, including the Nazi salute, after Thursday night's game in Los Angeles, according to school officials. Got to look out for Islamophobia, though. Got to keep our eyes open. Or this story from the Post-Millennial. Seattle's Antifa, anti-Israel activists, threatened to block Israeli cargo ships from offloading supplies. The initiative is part of the BDS movement against Israel, the Boycott, Divest, and Sanction movement. Antifa and other progressive organizations are reviving their anti-Israel block the boat plans, which show extremist activists blocking Israeli cargo ships from offloading goods and services at shipping ports across the U.S. This is part of the BDS movement, and that's what they're trying to get ramped back up here in Seattle with their Antifa chapter. I don't know. Are any ships from Islam nations being blockaded? You can look for the stories on the other side. It just seems like it's about 100 stories of anti-Semitism to that one story of the 6-year-old boy who was stabbed. And as sad as it is, it's hard to say, is the president concerned about an uptick in anti-Semitism, and you flip right over to Islamophobia? I feel like that's insensitive too. And I don't think that we should have an uptick in Islamophobia. But if you're calling balls and strikes, as Dan Mandis would say, one side is doing a lot and one side is not doing much of anything. Just looking at it objectively. KJP went on. She was asked, is anti-Israel viewed as anti-Semitism? Now, listen, before she answers this question, the reporter gave her an out because he only said on college campuses. He should have left the portion of college campus off, because I think that the question is really, really good. Is anti-Israel viewed as anti-Semitism?
President view anti-Israel protests and sentiment on college campuses as anti-Semitism?
So look, I'm not going to get into what's happening across the country and at different universities. Not going to get into the specifics. As the Admiral said, the First Amendment right? That's what something, a peaceful protest is really part of our democracy, being able for folks to be able to express their feelings. I'm not going to get into any specifics on that. The president has been very clear in wanting to make sure that Jewish Americans, wanting to make sure that Arab Americans, Muslims are protected here. That is what he believes in, that they have the right to live their lives and to feel protection and to feel like they're able to be part of a community.
Yes, they have the right for that. I agree. I do think that the journalist screwed himself by putting the college campus portion in that question. Gave her an out. Shouldn't have given her that out. Because I think the question is important. Is anti-Israel viewed as anti-Semitism? Because it depends on who you ask. It depends on who you ask. Like me personally, I don't think being anti-funding the war is the same as being anti-Semitic. Like, I don't want to send any more money to Israel to fight Hamas. I feel like they can do it on their own, and we've been funding them to the tune of billions for years and years and years and years and years. So, like, conservatively, I feel like, why are we funding more war when we're $33 trillion in debt? So could that be viewed as anti-Israel? I don't know, perhaps to some people. But I feel like that's a conservative principle. I don't want to fund foreign wars that don't really have the interest of the American public at heart. But is anti-Israel the same as anti-Semitism? I think it's an important question to ask. And I think that your answer is going to depend on who you ask.
The president have been very, very clear on denouncing any type of violence. And so as it relates to peaceful protesting, people have the right to do that. But we're just not going to get into blow-by-blows of what's going on across the country. The president has been very clear. Yes,
the president has been very clear. And we will answer your questions with answers to different questions. Thank you, KJP. 9:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey everybody, Dan Mandis with Nashville's Morning News on WTN. I'm here at the Nashville Rescue Mission doing the interviews that I look forward to doing every single year. These are incredible stories of people who have had amazing recoveries. Thanks to this amazing facility, they are able to get clean and lead a more productive life. The date of our annual Radiothon is going to be Monday, November 20th. Listen in and please donate. You can get more information at 99.7 WTN, including a link to the website for Nashville's rescue mission.
Another plea deal with prosecutors in Georgia. Tom Emmer leads the pack in the latest speaker designee voting. We'll tell you what more we've learned about that off-duty pilot who said, "I'm not right," mid-flight. These stories and more coming up at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is 9:58 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Senator J.D. Vance out of Ohio is joining the latest push from legislators who are skeptical of aid to Ukraine but support Israel against Hamas. He began circulating a memo to senators yesterday titled "Differentiating Ukraine and Israel." Senator John Fetterman of fame went on Twitter, quoted the Fox News Politics tweet that says J.D. Vance is, circulating this memo calling for Israel and Ukraine aid to be split up. And do you know what John Fetterman tweeted?
What?
2 words. F that.
Whoa.
Yep. Senator John Fetterman did not censor himself, however, in the tweet. He spelled out the F -- word.
Wow.
It's such a crazy time where the Democrats are pro-war. The Democrats are out there warmongering. And the Republicans are trying to not, be active in foreign wars. It's like the whole world has gone crazy. It's completely upside down. When I was a kid, it was the Republicans who were huge fans of war. And now, no, it's the Democrats. It's the Democrats. We'll have more on the war in Israel, the war in Ukraine, and anything else you want to talk about. 615-737-9986 is the Chris Hand Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Ten o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. It is Election Day in Franklin. Voters are choosing a mayor and an at-large alderman. Polls opened at 7 this morning. We'll give you the full forecast in 2 minutes. Right now in Georgia, a tearful former Trump campaign lawyer Jenna Ellis has pleaded guilty in the election subversion case to 1 count of aiding and abetting false statements in writing and will cooperate with Fulton County prosecutors. Prosecutors are recommending 5 years of probation and to pay $5,000 in restitution. Ellis's plea deal follows back-to-back guilty pleas last week from former Trump campaign lawyer Sidney Powell and Kenneth Chesborough, who was accused of helping devise the fake electors plot. And right now in our nation's capital, Politico says Majority Whip Tom Emmer has secured enough secret ballots to be Speaker designee, but not enough to get the gavel. Ousted Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy, optimistic though.
I think this gets done this week. I think we'll go a number of rounds here because the size of the number of people running. But I think Tom Emmer has a real lead here and probably best poised to bring the conference together.
Yeah, Emmer is one of the 2 candidates among the 8 in this latest round that voted, that did not, however, vote to overturn the 2020 election. Israel-Hamas war continuing coverage. French President Macron speaking after meeting Israeli's prime minister, proposing an international coalition to fight terror groups in the region that he says threaten all of us. And later today in Oregon, 44-year-old Alaska Airlines pilot Joseph Emerson expected to be in court on 83 counts of attempted murder. 1 count for every person who was on board a flight Sunday night when he allegedly tried to crash the plane after saying something like, "I'm not right."
Alaska is saying Emerson joined the company as a regional pilot in 2001. He left the airline in 2012 to join Virgin America. Virgin America was then bought by Alaska. He became a captain with Alaska in 2019. The airline saying he completed his mandated FAA medical certifications, and at no point were his medical certifications ever denied.
That's Alex Stone reporting, and the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Today's show happened because I saw a comment. He said, "Why don't you do something on doves and dove fields and how to find them and things like that. So
all right.
Good idea. It's past the opening day, but like you said, it can work.
Yeah.
Because the season is long. It runs for 90 days, and there's 3 segments, so we're going to cover all that today. Let's rattle off the season. September 1 through September 28th is the first segment of Dove, and then October 14th through November 5th, and then December 8th through January 15th. 15 is your bag limit. So September 1 is opening day, and that's at noon in Tennessee.
September 1st has been one of those days. I mean, you'll see guys. I mean, they'll take off work. Have big cooking and getting together with friends, and it's kind of neat to see.
Yeah.
Historically, it's a huge social event. I'd say the majority of the hunters probably hunt opening day, opening weekend, and then won't pick up a shotgun until next year. So,
we have 2 other segments besides this one. Running in October, and then even all the way through January 15th. There's a lot of opportunity throughout the year.
On our website, tnwildlife.org, on our homepage, you can click the button there to dove hunting info and fields is what the button's titled. It's got all the information on dove hunting. You can find the fields there. So let's talk about how to find a field. You click on Region 2, it pulls up the options that are available, and get down to Bart Camp Barrens, and you see it's open statewide. So the hunting's not over there. There's still opportunity. Even though we had a big opening day, let it die down a little bit and get back in there. You're going to have some good hunting, I think, there, sounds like, anyway.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris And. Anybody but Tom Emmer. Speaker of the House race happening today. Apparently, Tom has secured the secret ballots. So we got secret ballots. No word on if he has enough votes on the floor. I hope he doesn't. I sure don't. Tom Emmer famously in favor of getting rid of the Electoral College. So, not a fan. Not a fan. Steve Scalise was just caught walking into the House, and he was asked if he was going to vote for Tom Emmer.
You know we're going to vote for Speaker this morning? Tom Emmer for Speaker?
And Scalise gave no comment. Super soft. It's just a yes or no.
Yeah, just nod the head, shake the head.
Just give me thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yep.
That's all we're looking for. Matt Gaetz was talking about the Speaker of the House, and he went on Twitter last night and posted this.
We are live broadcasting to you right now from the Rayburn building. But if I were to take about 30 or 40 steps outside of this building, I would go across the street where there is an office building for the Republican National Committee and the National Republican Congressional Committee. Across the street from the Capitol is where our party leaders and bosses often meet with lobbyists to get commitments for them to provide money and then ultimately to receive those donations in the form of fundraisers, gatherings, policy conferences, dinner. That all happens just across the street from where we are right now. When you're in the Capitol building, it is not only verboten, it's quite literally against the law to talk about fundraising and donations. You have to do that across the street. You can't do it in the Capitol building. Astonishingly, I watched former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy make the case on Meet the Press that what's most important when evaluating a potential candidate for Speaker is not just how they will lead inside the Capitol building. It is what they will do across the street.
And I think Tom Emmer will do exactly what those boys want to do across the street. Interesting. We'll see what happens. I mean, we do need to get somebody in there as the world seems to be spiraling out of control. But then on the flip side, at least we can't pass any more funding bills currently. So it's not all bad without a Speaker of the House. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but the world has been in chaos lately. Absolute chaos. You know it's in chaos when a liberal rag like Newsweek puts out an opinion piece. They put out this opinion piece yesterday morning, and their headline read, "The world needs President Trump now more than ever." Damn near fell out of my chair. Newsweek, even liberal Mockingbird Media Newsweek, says the world needs Trump now more than ever. They go on in this piece. Shortly after Israel was savagely attacked by Hamas terrorists, a popular meme appeared showing former President Donald Trump in a silhouette in a Batman-esque bat signal with the line, "The entire world right now." Under Trump, peace through strength wasn't just a suggestive mantra. It was a governing imperative. Trump understood that when the United States is weak or perceived as weak, the good guys retreat, the bad guys advance, and the wheels come off the world. Well, Newsweek proving the old broke clock theory. They're right every now and again. The world does need Trump right now. We honestly could use a leader, but we don't get a leader. We get a guy that goes to the beach on the weekend and wears a sleep pap machine during his naps on planes and has a deformed chin. That's who we get.
The deformed chin to top it off.
The deformed chin.
Trump was right and Joe Biden was wrong.
Who do we have? We have Sleepy Joe and whoever's running the show behind him.
Bingo.
It's terrible. It's terrible. And it seems like the warmongers in our government want to go full Lindsey Graham right now and just start bombing Iran. Just let's bomb Iran. It seems like everybody is going that route. Tucker had a brand new episode last night with Colonel Douglas Macgregor. This episode was awesome. I suggest that you watch the whole thing. And another thing I want to point out, Tucker's doing this episode. You can clearly tell he has a cold. And kudos to Tucker. He's not getting paid for these episodes. He doesn't have to be on TV nightly, and he's still showing up sick because he thinks it's important. And this conversation is important. Are we going to war with Iran? If we let the neocons decide, it certainly seems like that is inevitable.
Do you think that we are moving toward war with Iran?
Yes, I do. And it looks like the chosen destination is indeed Armageddon. There doesn't seem to be any real appreciation for the implications for us and frankly, for Europe and the world, as well as the Middle East, of such action.
No, nobody's thinking about the implications at all. We've talked about what the implications could be if this kind of escalates into a World War III scenario. China's not going to be on our side in a World War III scenario. If China's not on our side, do they start cutting off all of our goods? 90% of our medicine that comes from China? Well, let me ask you a different way. If we went into a full war with Iran and we supplied 90% of their medicine, would we cut that off? We probably wouldn't, being America. I mean, shoot, they're getting aid into Gaza. But do you think China's going to be as kind and warm-hearted as Americans would be? The implications of World War III are vast. And Colonel Douglas Macgregor starts outlining what that fallout could look like, starting with the economic fallout.
Just on the economic side, about 20% of the world's oil passes through the Straits of Hormuz every month. Probably 25% of liquefied natural gas. and you're talking about shutting down 2 to 3 million barrels a day of oil from Iran. This entire region is involved in the war. This is not an Iranian monopoly by any stretch of the imagination. But the point is that when we're looking at 10-year Treasury yields up over 5%, and people are increasingly convinced that the Fed has lost control, the economic side of the house is catastrophe.
Catastrophe. The economic side is a catastrophe. Oil, natural gas, the entire region going into chaos. The ripple effects would touch every part of the globe. But it still seems like we're heading there. Just last night on Twitter, there was a picture circulating of Lindsey Graham sitting next to Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi Arabia. Lindsey Graham, he's at the big kids table, leading a delegation of senators. Blumenthal was there, a few others. Lindsey Graham, I mean, they had not even counted all of the victims of the terror attack, and Lindsey Graham was on TV saying we need to bomb Iran. Lindsey Graham loves war. Do you think Lindsey Graham has thought about the economic fallout? Probably not. What about the impact for our military? What about the implications for them if we go into war with Iran? Has Lindsey Graham thought about that?
Then when you look at the military side, you have to look at the arsenal of missiles that Iran possesses. And they can reach out 1,200 miles with great precision, very high explosive conventional warheads that would do enormous damage, destroying whole city blocks in places like Haifa, Tel Aviv, even Jerusalem, though I doubt they would attack Jerusalem. The bottom line is that we need to think this through, and everyone right now is emoting. There is no thinking anywhere, as far as I can tell. The only possible exception may be, amazingly enough, Mr. Erdogan in Turkey, who came out this morning and indicated he was willing to mediate the dispute between Israel and Hamas. Whether or not anyone in Washington or Israel is interested in talking, I don't know. But if we could sideline Turkey and keep Turkey out of the fight, that would ultimately help Israel enormously.
You know it's bad when they're saying only Erdogan out of Turkey is thinking about the implications of all this. But the military implications, Iran, their missiles, yes, big implications. We're already seeing implications on our militaries overseas. Just yesterday, John Kirby's on Fox. I think it was Fox News. It could have been another talking head network. But he was talking about the uptick of aggression in the Middle East.
We've also seen over the course of the last few days, actually the course of the last week, but certainly over the last couple of days of the weekend, an uptick in rocket and drone attacks by Iranian-backed proxy groups against military bases housing U.S. personnel in Iraq and Syria. And we're deeply concerned about the potential for any significant escalation of these attacks in the days ahead. At the direction of President Biden, the Secretary of Defense has ordered the military to take steps to prepare for this, to ensure that we're postured appropriately, both in terms of being able to defend our forces and respond decisively as needed.
Yep, and they're sending more troops into that area. China is sending warships as well. I don't know how that de-escalates anything. And it certainly seems like everyone in power is 100% okay with going full Lindsey Graham in the Middle East. What happens if we go full Lindsey Graham?
So what would happen to the United States if we followed Senator Graham's advice and just began bombing critical infrastructure in Iran? Like what would happen then?
Well, all of the bases that we have in Iraq and Syria, unfortunately, where we still have over 1,000 Americans, all of those would be targeted. And this time, they would target them accurately, and this destruction would be wholesale.
Now, the point that really stood out to me was that Colonel Douglas Macgregor says that they would target those bases accurately. That one kind of hit me different, because we heard John Kirby talking about the uptick in aggression at our bases. Colonel Douglas Macgregor kind of says, yeah, you know, they're not really trying hard. They could target those bases more accurately. It's a scary sight. It's a scary prospect. It really is. And for what? What benefit does this have for America? What's our benefit? What's the benefit in all of this? Larry in Clarksville, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Larry?
Good morning, Chris. First of all, if there is a draft, I will go in place of you and Mac. Just because I'd just like to pull a trigger.
Okay.
But Israel can handle this, but there is no doubt in my mind, Chris, that if Iran keeps escalating this, there's no doubt in my mind that Israel will not hesitate to send tactical nukes. Hang on, I'm sorry. I'm on the phone.
You tell him, Larry.
Well, most of the time they listen. But a lot of times they're like Democrats. They just like to eat and get fed and, work for nothing. Or get paid for nothing. But I really think, Chris, we are on the very edge of World War III.
Hey, I'm totally with you, Larry, and I really appreciate the call, my man. I get wound up when people start talking about tactical nukes too. So I feel for your dog. But seriously though, we are on the edge of World War III. And then Colonel Douglas McGregor brings up, the implications of what would happen on the home front if World War III did pop off.
I would expect trouble here at home and in the United States because of the open border. Hezbollah has a very large operation in Mexico. There are no doubt many, many, many Hezbollah agents inside the United States. We can only begin to imagine the kind of trouble they could cause. The missile and space program in Iran is very, very advanced, as is their cyber warfare capability. All of these things would be brought to bear against us. But what's most important, I think, for Americans to understand is if we attack Iran on the basis of Hezbollah's alleged willingness to attack Israel if Israel invades Gaza, we will end up in a fight with Russia. Russia will not sit by quietly and watch Iran destroyed by the United States air and naval power in the region. And once Russia enters this, it becomes much more than just a local conflict, maybe more than just a regional war. We haven't thought this through.
No, we haven't thought it through at all. We just haven't. Well, you and I may have thought it through, but our leadership has not thought this through. It's a crazy time. It is an absolute crazy time in this country. So where do we go from here? I don't know, my friends. It feels like we're waiting for another shoe to drop. It just feels like we're waiting for it. Like something big is around the corner and we're not quite sure what it is. And it could be anything. We have a wide open southern border. Are we waiting for sleeper cells to be activated? Are we waiting for nukes to fly? It certainly feels like we would be a lot safer with a real leader in the White House. As Biden, in the meantime, he's got somebody pulling his strings. 1021 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. This is the Chris Hand Show. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at Jeff Eddy's Efficient Heating and Cooling. With the weather being up and down and up and down, you've been turning on your heat in the morning to get the chill out of the air and turning on the AC in the afternoon because it gets way too hot on that second floor. Well, if you've noticed any kind of mishap with your HVAC as you've been switching back and forth, you need to call my friends, Jeff Eddy at Jeff Eddy's Efficient Heating and Cooling. I mean, it can be so hard to find somebody you trust when it comes to these large home repairs. And of course, that includes heating and cooling because those units are expensive. Well, Efficient Heating and Cooling is a small company with big service and even bigger results. I trust Jeff and his crew, and you can too. So if you're trying to make a decision to repair or replace your system, if you've noticed that your HVAC system just isn't pushing the same way it used to, call Jeff Eddy and his crew. Most companies, when you call them, are just going to pressure you to replace your entire system because, well, you guessed it, they make more money that way. But with Jeff and his crew, they're just looking to do the right thing by you. And if that means replacing a part instead of replacing the system, they'll do that for you as well, and they'll make sure that you make the right decision, an informed decision, and they'll do that every single time for you. With Efficient, if you do need to replace your system, they offer up to 18 months, same as cash financing on your next unit. They're a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric and an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. Go to efficienthvac.net or call 615-784-4424.
The reward for information about the whereabouts of John Drake Jr., the suspect, police say, in the shooting of two police officers in Laverne, is up significantly. We'll tell you the total. Another plea deal in Georgia, and the list of speaker candidates in the U.S. House is dwindling. These stories and more at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. This is the Chris Hand Show. Jeff, who's driving, you have a comment about raw materials. What's up, Jeff? You're on Super Talk.
Yeah, good morning, Chris. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, man. How are you?
I'm great. I just wanted to point out that I think people don't realize how truly dependent we are on China for raw materials. Certainly the pharmaceutical and some of the other raw materials supply chain is well documented. But one of the critical raw materials that the United States needs to refine petroleum are rare earth elements. And 95% of the global supply of rare earths come out of China. We're totally dependent on that. And if China shuts off the flow of rare earths, we can't refine crude oil into gasoline, diesel fuel, and all of the other petrochemical that are necessary. Fundamentally, our economy shuts down in 90 days.
Oh, it would be catastrophic if they just cut us off. We need to decouple from China at all costs. It would be catastrophic in so many ways. And if your Democrat friends aren't afraid of the gas being shut off on us, remind them that those rare earth minerals go to car batteries too.
Absolutely. They go to many, many things. And right now, China's holding all the cards, and we really aren't well placed strategically. Obviously, a lot to do with the incumbent administration. Chris, thanks a lot. Appreciate what you do. Have a good day.
Appreciate the call, Jeff, and thank you for that. And I think it goes a step further, too. China flew a spy balloon over the continental United States. They know where military bases are. We are structurally weak when it comes to infrastructure and protecting our electrical grid. China provides all this tech for us. Do you think they don't have back doors into some of these things? I mean, seriously, cyber warfare, this is a real threat. And nobody talks about it. If we went into a full-scale conflict with Russia and China and Iran, cyber warfare alone, could they hack trains and make them derail? Possibly. Could they shut down our power grid? Possibly. Then you go even further with sleeper cells and foreign agents coming across our southern border. It could get bad quick. It could get bad very, very quickly. But nobody wants to have that conversation. They just want to bomb Iran because Lindsey Graham said it was a good idea. We are not stable enough for a global conflict. I hate to break it to you. We're not stable enough for a global conflict. Period. And then you see the new reports. 1 migrant for every American newborn in 2023. President Joe Biden's deputies welcomed at least 1 economic migrant, illegal alien, into the United States during the last 12 months for every American newborn or every American high school graduate. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. We are woefully ill-equipped to deal with this. It is 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver with the latest headlines right now.
.30 on the dot. This Tuesday morning, I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got a stalled vehicle blocking the way 65 northbound right before the Thompson Station Road overpass in Williamson County. Polls are open in Franklin, where voters choose a mayor and alderman at large today. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, there is a significant increase in reward money offered for tips about the whereabouts of Laverne police officer shooting suspect John Drake Jr., the reward now up to $15,500 as the statewide manhunt continues. The 4th person to agree to a plea deal in the Fulton County, Georgia election interference case is former Trump lawyer Jenna Ellis. Alongside Rudy Giuliani, she told Georgia lawmakers thousands of ballots were wrongly counted, with thousands of felons voting illegally, thousands of minors registering to vote. She now admits those claims were false. And right now in our nation's capital, 5 House Republicans now in the running to become the next speaker. Republican lawmakers already casted 2 ballots when Pete Sessions of Texas and Jack Bergman of Michigan were eliminated. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. What's one of the biggest mistakes that I find that investors make? Well, it's typically buying based on past performance. We look at our 401k, we try to decide which fund should I buy, and tend to look at historical past performance over 3, 5, and you even hear investment advisors telling people to look at 3, 5, and 10-year track records. Problem is that what do markets do? They go up and they go down. Well, where does this have a great past performance? Here to here. So we end up buying high. We found that there was one study back in 1986, and it was called the Brinson-Hooden-Biebauer study. And they were looking at what drove investment returns more than anything else. And the study sort of looked like this. They said, stock selection, about 4% of investment differences were due to stock selection. About 2% was due to market timing differences. Asset mix, asset allocation, that was the big deal. Now, what they found, which was fascinating, was that when the pension plans engaged in these two activities, in one study it showed that 100% of the time, investment returns were lower and it increased risk. Not something you want when you're an investor. So this is something that we teach investors to help them sidestep some of these issues. Now, if you want to learn more about our approach to investing in financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call. Or you can call 615-851-1950.
So is a U.S. war against Iran possible?
I think what we want to see more than anything, Wolf, is no widening of this conflict, no deepening of it. And we continue to send a strong message to actors in the region, including Iran, that if you're thinking about jumping in here, you're thinking about deepening and widening and escalating, don't do it. We will take our national security interests very, very seriously in the region, and we've added to the military capabilities to make sure that we can do that.
Well, he didn't rule it out entirely. John Kirby on with Wolf Blitzer right there. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 1035. My name is Chris Hand. It's not off the table. And if you ask Lindsey Graham, it's the only option on the table. War with Iran. Man, I don't like the sound of that. Mildred in the borough, you were upset, Mildred, and Mac told me that you got a lot to say. What's up? You're on Super Talk 99.7.
No, honey, listen, I enjoy your show. Thanks for your Christian testimony. No, when Pompeo was Secretary of State under Trump, he had Iraq and Iran exactly where he wanted them, and he wanted to bomb them. And Trump's sons would not allow him to do that. And one of them told Mark Levin they didn't want Daddy to be known as a man of war. So Trump needs to shut up. He did nothing. He would still do nothing.
But
that's
Trump,
my opinion, honey. Thank you.
No. Stay on the line, Mildred. I don't want you to go anywhere. I like the fire in you.
I'm sorry, honey. I've had throat surgery, so I don't talk too good.
No.
But I appreciate your show, honey, and I appreciate your Christian witness, okay?
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I listen. I like Trump. I like that he started no new wars.
You like that he didn't start.
Yeah.
Well, Pompeo had them exactly where he wanted them. But listen, we wouldn't be dealing with this mess now if he'd gone in there and taken them off the map.
Yeah,
That's
but
what I feel.
I think we wouldn't have this issue if we just had Trump in the office.
No, he wouldn't do nothing. I'm sorry, honey. I won't vote for him. I'm sorry.
You won't vote for
Okay?
him? Why not?
No. He didn't do anything then. He won't do anything now. I don't think, honey.
But Mildred, he had the economy booming.
Well, he might have had the economy, but we had enemies that he wouldn't take care of, honey. And he raised the budget.
What was the guy's name? He blew up. Salmani? He blew up
I don't-
like an Iranian general.
Yeah, he took care of him. But if he hadn't had Pompeo, I don't think he would have. No, he raised the budget, honey, and he gave Planned Parenthood $500,000. So,
Mildred, he also got Roe v. Wade overturned. He also put it in a conservative Supreme Court that we're still seeing positive ripple effects from.
Well, he sent it back to the states, honey, and I don't think they've stopped killing. I just buried a precious son in December.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
He was born with the skull open, but I had him for 49 years, honey. They would kill him today in the womb,
Well, listen,
So-
I'm not out here advocating for abortion, but I will say that getting Roe v. Wade overturned is a step in the right direction. It opened up
yes.
it opened up the opportunity for a lot of states to institute those heartbeat bills, which are big wins.
I don't know, honey. I think they're doing as many abortions as they've ever done. They used to talk about the pill causing heart attacks, strokes, and blood clots. They don't do that anymore. But what is the major killer of women today? Heart attacks. They won't tell you that, honey. Even over men, they're dying with more heart attacks. So they're still taking the pill and injuring their health, honey.
Yeah,
Listen,
I'm not a fan of the pill either, but I don't know. I'm not sure what that has to do with Donald Trump and your vote.
Well, anyway, honey, I'm 84. I probably won't live to see Trump take office again, but whatever happens, I hope and pray. I fear for my country. I really do.
I'm with you on a lot of points, but I think that, at this rate with the advances in modern medicine, you could be up here for the next election too, Mildred. You got 2028, you got 32 to look forward to. You got nothing but time. I wouldn't worry about it.
I don't know, honey, how much time we've got. I look around and I don't see anything to be fulfilled. I really don't.
Well,
And he said when you see all these things happening, look up for your redemption draws nigh. So anyway, honey, I fear for my children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, but he can take me anytime. I don't want to lose my head. But
I get you there, but you said that you would rather have Trump bomb Iran and all that. Would you want your grandchildren going over to fight in those wars?
Well, we don't know that. I think if he had taken care of Iran and Iraq, we wouldn't be in this mess now, honey. Anyway, that's history, and we don't know, do we?
Okay, I guess.
Anyway,
I guess
honey.
so. I just know that they didn't make any moves while Trump was in office, Mildred.
Okay.
They
we're
were signing.
dealing with them. We're dealing with them now, and I don't think we would have had to.
I think we're dealing with them now because of the weakness that we have in the White House currently. We have a shell of a human being as our president.
Oh, I know that, honey. I hope everybody goes to the polls and sends him running,
So would you vote
Okay,
for Trump
honey.
if it was just Biden versus Trump? Would you vote for Trump?
No, I don't know who I'll vote for. If the Lord leaves me here long enough to, no, I will not vote for Trump. I'm sorry, honey.
So how are you going to send Joe Biden running if Trump is the leading Republican candidate right now?
Well, I'd like Scott to run.
Well, he's running.
I'd like the black guy from, I'll vote for Scott if he runs.
He's definitely running.
Is he? Okay,
but
then I like him.
He's in single digits polling wise. I don't know if he's going to make it to the
Well,
next debate.
I don't know. That shouldn't keep you from voting. All right, honey. Well, have a good day. Again, I love your Christian testimony. Just hang in there, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate you. You are
right,
my
honey.
favorite caller of the week. Call anytime, Mildred.
All right, honey. Thank you. Bye.
Appreciate you. I like her.
Oh, that was awesome.
Mildred's based.
She is.
All right.
You made great points, but
I couldn't convince her.
She's defiant, man.
Could not convince her.
But we love her anyway.
Oh yeah.
I would welcome her to the show anytime. If we got full phone lines, you put Mildred to the front.
Yeah, she's in top of the list.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah. Love it.
The Mildred, the people on the super text line are being nice to Mildred.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah.
Honey?
Somebody said, dang, Chris is fear-mongering now. Wow. This is the same person that called me a Canadian soy boy the other day?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So, tracks.
It checks out.
Yeah, checks out.
Thanks, 64.
Super dope.
Thanks, 6436. I do appreciate you listening. 2886 says, wow, Mildred changed her mind about 9 times in 3 minutes. The news cycle moves fast, you know.
Does indeed,
I have changed my mind that many times in that many minutes as well. 1349 says Mildred 2024. Rocco said, I wish Mildred would call me honey. It felt nice. It was nice.
It did, yeah.
Cool.
I mean, I'm sure it did. I was jealous. Dang.
I think Mildred is a Trump voter. She just doesn't know. She just doesn't know it yet. I think she's going to be. Everybody's saying we need Mildred in the White House.
100%.
Yep.
You know, things would get done. You'd have to listen to her.
JT said, Mildred called you honey more than your wife does in a day. I think so. That's fair. That's a fair representation. I love Mildred. Mildred in the borough. Put her on the list.
Yeah, A1.
Favorite listeners.
Yep.
All right. I would say let's tell her to text in. I think she's more of a caller.
Yeah, caller.
Yeah.
Email.
Might get a letter. I like it. How do I pivot out of Mildred, guys? I don't know where. I don't know how to pivot out of Mildred.
Yeah, I mean, she's. I think you're right. I think Trump voter, but no, that's not what she's saying. Not what's going to happen.
Listen, if you think you need to chase Biden out of the White House, and you don't know who else to vote for, I don't know. I don't think RFK is your guy. I don't think so. You know, RFK's on record saying that he wants reparations. RFK is pro-choice. RFK is anti-fracking. You can go down the list. I don't know if there's any other viable solutions at this point in time. Because you look at the polling. I mean, well, let's go down the list. All right. Mike Pence, for instance, he had a banger of an event in Iowa. 13 people showed up. That's like, remember when Joe Biden was campaigning during COVID and they had that one event where they had the circles on the grass and like a chair in the middle of the circle and then 6 feet apart was another circle and the chair was in the grass? Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yep.
That had more people than the Mike Pence event. Tim Scott is cool, I guess. Tim Scott just seems so politician-y to me. Probably be like a good guy to have on your team. I don't know if he'd be the best leader. But Mike Pence, I mean, who else you got? Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley's just another neocon war hawk. Nikki Haley just loves the idea of bombing Iran as much as everybody else. But Mike Pence, I mean, Politico reports nearly 6 months into his campaign, fewer than 90 days until the Iowa caucus, Pence drew a crowd of 13 people. 13. Unreal. Who else is going to stand out from this crowd?
I don't know.
We don't know. I don't think it's going to be anyone. It looked like Vivek Ramaswamy had a chance there to really separate himself from the crowd, but he like flashed up like a rocket and he has fizzled out. I don't really hear the excitement that I once heard behind Vivek Ramaswamy. I could be wrong. John in Columbia, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, John?
Hey, not much. I just kind of wanted to make a comment going off what Mildred said, and I know a lot of people don't really like this view that I have, but as far as her saying she wouldn't vote for Trump, even though she wants to get Biden out of there and would rather vote for a third party, I've always been really against the third party vote. I understand it's your right to vote and everybody should vote, but I feel like, especially as close as the race was with Biden and Trump, all the votes that Trump lost to people voting for Kanye or just whoever they felt just because they wouldn't vote for Trump. It's like if you really want to get out that Democrat person, you may not like Trump, but you know he's the main person versus any of the third parties. Like, I feel like a third party vote's a wasted vote.
Well, I totally agree with that sentiment, but I feel like in this case with RFK Jr., who do you think he's going to hurt more, Trump or Biden?
I don't know. I kind of feel like he's a bit in the middle. I almost think he would hurt Biden more.
I see. For me, I think he's going to hurt Biden more. I think a lot of his views line up with the Democrat Party. He's married to the star of Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry David's wife in that show. Like they go to all the dinners. They're friends with all the Democrats. And I feel like, at least for conservatives, there was only one real issue that we agreed with RFK Jr. on, and it was the vaccine stuff.
Right.
And I totally agree with RFK Jr. on his vaccine stances. I really do. And I agree with the pushback that he did. And I wish more Democrats would have taken that stance. But I feel like that's where our similarities with RFK Jr. end. And I feel like anybody that's looking at it from a who do I vote for, and those are your three choices, I don't think that Trump's base is going to be swayed away from Trump to vote for RFK. But I think that somebody in Joe Biden's base could say, we have a shell of a person who's being told what to do there and, forgets names, can't read a teleprompter, stumbles around, loses his way off stage. Right. I could vote for RFK over Joe.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'm a conservative. I would vote for RFK Jr. over Joe Biden if those are the two choices.
Oh, absolutely.
But for me, I feel like RFK hurts Biden more. So I agree. I agree that it's a wasted vote. And I have my brother-in-law's voted Libertarian before, and I told him the same thing. I said, you just threw it away. But
it's kind of like, I don't want the Republican Party to, waste their votes on a third party. But, Democrats, you go vote for RFK all you want,
Yeah, no, I totally get it.
Hopefully they do it more than the Republican side does.
Yeah. I'm with you. Thanks for the call, John. Really appreciate it. Dave in the Borough, you have a comment on Iran real quick. Dave, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up?
Yeah, if we would go to war with Iran, they're not going to be a pushover. If you look into past issues of Joint Forces Quarterly, clear back to the 80s, they've been talking about a war with Iran for decades. Yep. And Iran is not a pushover. They have the equipment, they have the manpower, and they have the war fighting capabilities.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I don't think that that's an easy feat. I mean, shoot, how long were we in Iraq and Afghanistan? Did we win? Let's look at recent history. What did we gain from it?
I don't think we gained much other than a temporary peace, but other than that, not much.
I'm with you. Thanks for the call, Dave. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I don't think that there's a net positive in a war with Iran. I don't think there's a net positive at all.
Had that caller bring up Kanye West.
Yeah.
In votes. Over 70,000 people voted for Kanye in 2020. Which state had the most votes for him?
Ooh, Chicago?
Tennessee.
Tennessee. I said Chicago. I'm such an idiot.
It was like, we'll move on past that.
I just went to like his hometown in Chicago. I'm such an idiot. All right. With that being said, Tennessee had the most votes for Kanye?
Over 10,000 people.
Whoa.
Crazy.
That is crazy. Wow. All right. I don't know who I'd like to meet those people.
Yep.
It's interesting. 10:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, got a road shut down in Murfreesboro. This is a portion of Medical Center Parkway near Ascension St. Thomas Hospital. It is closed for what police are calling an incident. Now, you can still get to the hospital, but not from Thompson Lane. You're going to have to go to the Broad Street side in order to get to Ascension St. Thomas Hospital there off of Medical Center Parkway due to this police incident that has that section of Medical Center Parkway shut down for, well, until further notice. We'll give you that, an update on that and other top stories coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. Yeah, nothing confirmed in Murfreesboro, but we're seeing all these texts rolling in, so everybody stay safe out there. More coming up in Ken's newscast. Also on the way, we got your calls on Trump, RFK. Alan has a comment. Joe has a comment and an idea on Israel. We'll get to all that, plus anything else you want to talk about. 615-737-9986. Call, text. We got you covered. It's the Chris Hand Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot this Tuesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Again, Medical Center Parkway in Murfreesboro. Part of it is shut down. That's near Ascension St. Thomas Hospital for what police call an incident. Now, you can still get to the hospital, but not from Thompson Lane. You're going to have to go to the Broad Street side. Murfreesboro police say first responders are assessing this situation. They ask that you find an alternate route, expect traffic delays. Again, you can still access St. Thomas Rutherford Hospital from the Broad Street side. Also, polls are open in Franklin where voters choose a mayor and alderman at large today. Full forecast coming up in 2 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, there's a significant increase in reward money for tips about the whereabouts of Laverne police officer shooting suspect John Drake Jr. The reward is up to $15,500 as the statewide manhunt continues. His mother is pleading that he surrenders, fearful for his life.
I'd rather see him locked up than that I have to bury him.
John Drake Jr. is the son of Metro Nashville Police Chief John Drake and is on the TBI Most Wanted list after 2 police officers were shot while investigating a stolen vehicle, which license plate reader cameras hit on Saturday. Right now in Georgia, the 4th person to agree to a plea deal in the Fulton County election interference case is former Trump lawyer Jenna Ellis.
As tears streamed down her face, former Trump attorney Jenna Ellis expressed remorse in court.
If I knew then what I know now, I would have declined to represent Donald Trump in these post-election challenges.
Alongside Rudy Giuliani, she told Georgia lawmakers that thousands of ballots were wrongly counted, with thousands of felons voting illegally and thousands of minors registering to vote. She now admits those claims were false. Like others who've recently struck plea deals, Ellis will serve probation and community service, pay a fine, and write an apology letter.
That is Stephen Portnoy reporting. And right now in our nation's capital, Politico says the House Republican speakership nomination is now down to just 2 candidates, Tom Emmer and Mike Johnson. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Today's show happened because I saw a comment. He said, why don't you do something on doves and dove fields and how to find them and things like that. So
yeah, all right.
Good idea. It's past the opening day, but like you said, it can work.
Yeah.
Because the season is long. It runs for 90 days and there's 3 segments, so we're going to cover all that today. Let's rattle off the season. September 1 through September 28th is the first segment of Dove, and then October 14th through November 5th, and then December 8th through January 15th. 15 is your bag limit. So September 1 is opening day, and that's at noon in Tennessee.
September 1st has been one of those days. I mean, you'll see guys. I mean, they'll take off work. Have big cooking and getting together with friends, and it's kind of neat to see.
Yeah.
Historically, it's a huge social event. I'd say the majority of the hunters probably hunt opening day, opening weekend, and then won't pick up a shotgun until next year. So,
we have 2 other segments besides this one. Running in October, and then even all the way through, was that January 15th. There's a lot of opportunity throughout the year.
On our website, tenwildlife.org, on our homepage, you can click the button there to dove hunting, info, and fields is what the button's titled. It's got all the information on dove hunting. You can find the fields there. So let's talk about how to find a field. You click on Region 2, it pulls up the options that are available, and get down to Bark Camp Barrens, and you see it's open statewide. So the hunting's not over there. There's still opportunity. Even though we had a big opening day, let it die down a little bit and get back in there. You're going to have some good hunting, I think, there, sounds like, anyway.
Wonderful kids, and now me and my wife have a financial plan for their future and our future because we linked up with Paul Winkler Inc. Now, I've been listening to Paul's radio show since I moved to Nashville some 8 years ago, but it was after I got to meet with him and realize he's the same guy that I heard on his radio show, smart, honest, and legit, that I was all in becoming a client of Paul. Now, Paul and his team hold themselves to a higher level of fiduciary standard than is required, and because of that, government regulators require that I tell you I'm paid every time this commercial airs, and that's the truth. I am paid every time. But that's not why I decided to become a client. I decided to become a client with Paul because when we broke bread, he answered my financial questions honestly and in a way that I could understand myself. I'm so impressed with Paul and his team. He's a smart guy. He knows the financial world better than I do. And with Paul and his team, nothing is done on commission. That's huge to me, because it means that they're helping me make decisions for my future, not their future. Nothing is done on commission. They are big, though, on education, and their investment education is evidence-based and backed by Nobel Prize-winning research. Every office is run by a degree planner with over 20 years of experience, and you can make a free complimentary meeting with them right now by setting it up on his website, paulwinkler.com, a free complimentary 15-minute phone call, paulwinkler.com, or pick up the phone yourself, 615-851-1950. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's Chris Hand. 615-737-9986 is the number to call. Lindsay in Pleasant Shade, you have a comment on Trump RFK. What's up, Lindsay? You're on Super Talk.
Hi, Chris. I wanted to say that I am a Trump voter, and I wish Mildred would call me honey. I'd like to. I disagree with you that RFK is taking more away from Biden.
Okay.
I think that he's taking more away from Trump.
What?
And if he would just run for if he would team up with him and be vice president or something, I think we get a lot more of the middle voters.
I don't think that that's a bad take, and I wouldn't like hate RFK Jr. as a VP pick. I think it would be like a good unifying VP pick. But listen, he's not conservative. He's not. Now, do I trust RFK to go after Big Pharma? Absolutely. 100% could see RFK Jr. going after Big Pharma. Could I see him reining in the DOJ, the FBI, the CIA? Absolutely. Within the realm of possibility. After that, it kind of trails off quick on my hopefulness for RFK in government.
Well, I'm hoping that Mildred and those like her will understand that we have one shot at this. Also, I have to tell you, I'm glad you weren't fired last week on the Three Amigos.
What did I almost get fired for?
You said, in public, I always knew this day would come.
Yep. All right, cool. Ken,
I was going, did I miss something?
I don't know. There's always a chance I may get fired when I'm goofing off with the guys. Sometimes I go right up to the line and look over, so you never know. Appreciate the call, Lindsay. Thank you so much. Now, I'm not convinced that RFK Jr. will take votes from Trump. As far as Mildred goes, we did get a text on Mildred. Mac had mentioned there was 10,000 Kanye voters in Tennessee, and somebody said, I guarantee, JT texted, he said, I bet Mildred voted for Kanye. I don't know if Mildred voted for Kanye. I would argue that Kanye votes probably came from 3 cities in the state, and you could probably guess, probably Memphis, Nashville, Knoxville.
70,000 people.
70,000?
And in the nation, 10,000 here.
Okay, yeah, I was like, that's
10,000 in the state. Yeah, no.
It's a lot.
Still though,
It's a lot in Tennessee. But I mean, let's also be honest, Kanye would handle this situation now much better than President Biden is doing.
Extremely low bar, but yes.
Well, it doesn't make it any less true.
No.
That's
right.
He would drop some dope beats and
he'd come out with a diss track.
Yeah. Imagine dropping a diss track against like Iran. The president has released a diss track. Oh, okay. It's not AI rap, it's actual rap. Charlie Kirk tweeted out, if left unaddressed, RFK Jr. will grant Biden another 4 years. So there are prominent conservatives that do believe RFK Jr. Would hurt Trump more than he would hurt Joe Biden. I don't think that that's true. 1457 texted in, he said, if Trump picks RFK, he will lose my vote. Totally understand where you're coming from. Ray texted in, RFK is a flaming liberal, except for 1 or 2 points. There's no way in hell RFK is taking more votes from Trump than Biden. That's kind of where I am on it.
But those 2 points are huge points for the liberals. Those are like non-negotiable points.
Yeah, but he's also like pro-abortion. He's pro-green energy.
I thought he was pro-life. Is he?
Yeah, he's fine with abortion.
Okay. Yeah.
He might be old school Democrat, safe, legal, and rare, but he's pro-abortion. I don't know. I don't see it. I could be wrong. A lot of conservatives do think that he would steal more votes from Trump than he would from Joe Biden. I don't know. I'd love to know what you think. 615-737-9986. Joe in Clarksville has an idea about Israel, and I'm all ears, Joe. Line 3. Joe, you are on Super Talk 99.7. What's up, Joe?
How you doing today, sir?
Good, man. How are you?
Another day in paradise.
Yes, sir.
So the biggest issue with Israel right now is making sure everything doesn't escalate. And the best way of keeping things from escalating is dealing with things in-house. So what I'm thinking is if Israel maintains their blockade around the Gaza Strip, Israel and the United States brokers a deal with the Saudis and the Egyptians and basically have them come in and police up Hamas. That way it's Muslims policing Muslims. It's going to make the League of Arabs look better on an international scale. It's also going to help to broker an alliance or build an alliance between Israel and the Arab League. There's a lot of benefits I think that could come from this. I was just wondering your thoughts on it.
I love your line of thinking. My fear would be that would take us into the land of unintended consequences. And then the next time that there's some sort of terrorist attack, now you have all these other nations looped in as well.
But I haven't heard any other better ideas come from Washington. It's bomb Iran or free Palestine and turn the other cheek.
I wouldn't set your hopes on good ideas coming out of Washington for starters. I think that's where you're kind of hitting a rut right there. But yeah, I don't think bombing Iran is the right move either. Listen, I think letting Israel do what they need to do is perfectly fine. But the minute other people start jumping in, this thing's going global.
The only issue I have with Israel going in and doing what they need to do, which, in all honesty, they should. But if they go in there, we all know in war, civilians get killed. All eyes are going to be on Israel, and they kill a couple of civilians, it's going global, and they're just going to breed a heck of a lot more hatred for themselves in the Middle East.
Well, I mean, in fairness,
Muslims go in, it's not going to be looked as harshly.
In fairness, they're already killing civilians. In fairness, civilians are going to die no matter what the response is. And in fairness, yeah, civilians are dying, and civilians have died in Israel. Israelis have died, and yes, Palestinians have died. Israel drops leaflets, says you got to get out. My fear is if you go in full ground invasion, urban warfare, when you're going into a territory where you don't know anything and these Hamas terrorists are in there and they know the ins and outs through the tunnels and everything, Israel is going to be at a severe disadvantage in that conflict.
And it's going to tie up the majority of their forces in the Gaza Strip, leaving them very vulnerable in the north.
100%. Couldn't disagree with you at all. I think that,
which is why having possibly the Saudis or the Egyptians or both going in and doing it would free up a fair chunk of their forces to create defensible positions in the north.
Yeah, I just think that would be that you would need somebody in there to negotiate that, and I don't know if you're going to get that from our current administration.
Yeah,
it looks good on paper. I just don't know if it's doable. I don't think it's doable at all. And in the meantime, it's like I just feel like we need our attention here in America on that southern border. We need our FBI, CIA. We need to focus on what's happening in our nation right now. It just seems like
I hear you.
Throughout all of this, I just feel like this is not our fight, and that we're getting ourselves tied up in what could be World War III.
Yeah, I think it's almost inevitable, but if the other part of my idea was that if we can get the Saudis and the Egyptians to do it, it would free us up on that front.
Yeah.
So we can maintain focus on the southern border, China, Russia, and anybody else who decides to poke their heads up.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad idea, and at least it's an idea. I appreciate the call, Joe. I just don't know. I don't know how feasible that is, especially with our current administration. It seems like the people in Washington, all they want is war. So, I don't know. It seems like war is the most profitable option on the table right now. But I go back to, listen, we have an open southern border, and our feds are warning that Hamas, Hezbollah, they're all coming across. The Daily Caller had this report. Federal officials are warning that members of Hamas, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and Hezbollah could be crossing through the southern border, according to an internal October 20th memo exclusively obtained by the Daily Caller News Foundation. The San Diego Field Office Intelligence Division of Customs and Border Protection sent the memo warning that due to the war between Israel and Hamas, there could be encounters of terror-tied individuals who are seeking to travel here from the Middle East via transit across the southern border. And they warned Hamas, PIJ, Hezbollah, all of which are designated terrorist organizations, have been committing attacks on Israel in a war that began, obviously, on October 7th. But they're saying they're coming through the southern border. San Diego Field Office Intelligence Unit assesses that individuals inspired by or reacting to the current conflict may attempt to travel to or from the area of hostilities in the Middle East via transit across the southwest border. Foreign fighters motivated by ideology or mercenary soldiers of fortune may attempt to obfuscate travel to or from the U.S. to or from countries in the Middle East through Mexico, the memo adds. And the memo even put the patches of Hamas, PIJ, and Hezbollah, so that way those officials could identify them. It's an absolute mess. Our enemies are coming across our southern border. I think we 100% need to deal with that first. Can we deal with that first? I just don't think that we can help anyone until we have ourselves buttoned up. And then from there, the move is decoupling from China. We need to close the border, and we need to decouple from China. If you want a strong America, you need to close the border, and you need to decouple from China. That's it. It's not super hard, but it will take time. But it doesn't seem like anybody in our elected offices, any of our officials, want to have that conversation. We don't see the news media covering this in that way. All we're seeing on news media right now is Israel-Palestine. Everything's Israel-Palestine. Our security failures at the southern border, not really being discussed. The fact that we have Chinese nationals coming across the border, not really being discussed. I mean, Sarah Huckabee Sanders literally kicked China out of Arkansas last week. Have you heard it anywhere else on the news? One of the biggest news stories happening in the country. Stripping China of land that they own in Arkansas, farmland. Nobody talks about it. It's crazy the amount of stories and things that are happening that people just downright ignore in the news media today. I like Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I think that was a bold move, and I think we need more of that. China's our biggest enemy. The terrorists coming across the southern border is our biggest current threat. And until we get those things under control, we're not a serious country. We aren't. And then in the meantime, you get former presidents like Barack Obama criticizing Israel over Gaza, saying, "Don't harden Palestinian attitudes for generations." Says the man who was drone bombing wedding parties and American citizens in the Middle East during his tenure. He's warning Israel shouldn't harden Palestinian attitudes for generations. Gee, thanks, Obama. Can we bring that back? Thanks, Obama. In a statement Monday, Obama wrote, sorry, I added the extra as's. As I stated in an earlier post, Israel has a right to defend its citizens against such wanton violence. And I fully support President Biden's call for the United States to support our longtime ally in going after Hamas. But even as we support Israel, we should also be clear that how Israel prosecutes this fight against Hamas matters. Still, the world is watching closely as events in the region unfold, and any Israeli military strategy that ignores the human costs could ultimately backfire. Already, thousands of Palestinians have been killed in the bombing of Gaza, many of them children. Hundreds of thousands of them have been forced from their homes. The Israeli government's decision to cut off food, water, and electricity to a captive civilian population threatens not only to worsen a growing humanitarian crisis, it could further harden Palestinian attitudes for generations, erode global support for Israel, and play into the hands of Israel's enemies and undermine long-term efforts to achieve peace and stability in the region. I mean, Obama drone bombed wedding parties. He literally drone striked an American citizen in the Middle East. He has no leg to stand on. Hardening attitudes for generations. Says the president who let Benghazi happen, who let pallets of cash go over to Iran, who drew the red line in Syria. Oh, we wouldn't want to harden them for generations to come. Thanks, Obama. Hey, Mark in the borough, I see you on hold. I'll get to your call next. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Still got that situation in Murfreesboro. Part of Medical Center Parkway is shut down near Ascension St. Thomas Hospital for what police are calling an incident. Now, you can still get to the hospital, but not from Thompson Lane. You have to go the Broad Street side. First responders, heavy presence there, assessing the situation. And we've got some breaking news out of our nation's capital regarding the speaker's race. It looks like we have a new designee. And Jenna Ellis is the latest former Trump campaign lawyer to enter a plea in that interference case in Georgia, election interference case. These stories and more coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I was waiting for Ken Weaver to say we have a new designee. It's bad. It's bad.
It's bad, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think I've ever seen it this bad before.
Oh, jeez. Well, wait for Ken Weaver's newscast for the latest.
We'll open it like this. Boy.
Jeez. Jeez. It's yeah, well. All right. I don't know if he's gonna be able to make go the distance.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
Yep.
Hey, Mark in Murfreesboro, you have a comment on Israel and Palestine. Mark, you're on Super Talk. What's up?
Hey, boss. Thank you for taking my call. Just a theory. Maybe this thing that's going on right now is the scrap before the real storm, because we've heard a lot of people talking about World War III and Armageddon and all that mess. What if Israel puts a licking on the current enemy of Hamas and Hezbollah and all those guys, and then they go licking their wounds back to Iran? Then Iran says, you know what, let's just go in full force on Israel, and then Russia and China jumps in with them. Just a theory.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's absolutely a fear. And I think that no matter how this shakes out, the fear is escalation to global scale, you know?
Right. And I think it's just my opinion. My opinion, $2 will buy you a cup of coffee. But, I think this is the scrap, and then they'll go back licking their wounds to Iran. Iran will say, let's do this.
You definitely could be right, Mark, and I don't think like you're far off base. It definitely within the realm of possibility. The one thing I will disagree with, though, is that in the current economy, $2 will not buy you a cup of coffee.
That's true.
All right,
absolutely true.
I just want to be fair and impartial and point that out. Bidenomics, it's working.
That's true. More like 5.5.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for the call, Mark. I appreciate it. I literally had to have the conversation with my wife the other day. I went to get a black iced coffee, no trimmings, none of the sweet cream, none of the little fancy sugar sprinkle, nothing.
Just a coffee.
Black iced coffee. It's gonna be about $4. What?
Gosh.
Like, this used to be the cheapest option.
Yep.
Used to be 25 cents back in my day, boys.
It's working. It was a simpler time back in Ken's day.
2 bits.
Dude.
2 bits.
At 4:05, I was like, all right, I just have to make coffee at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, screw this. Yeah.
I have to go full break room sludge.
Yeah, that just throw cold water on your face.
Yeah. Still, the cost of that is going up as well too. Just to be fully transparent.
Yeah.
Susan in Murfreesboro, you have a comment on RFK and Trump. Susan, you're on Super Talk. What's up?
Hello. So I'm in the camp that I think that Kennedy will affect Trump getting into the White House, and the reason I say that is because I think Trump's base is solid. Okay, that's not going anyplace, but it's the independent voter that is going to determine this election, and I think there's enough independent voters that are going to swing towards Kennedy. Along with that, we got to remember that Democrats, when push comes to shove, they fall in line, they'll hold their nose, and they'll pull the lever for Biden. Okay, they're not going to not vote for Biden.
See, I
They
feel
will
like
hold their nose and do it.
I feel like a lot of the vote blue, no matter who crowd would rather vote for RFK Jr. than Joe Biden.
Well, I don't know, because I mean, I'm in the camp that I don't think that's the case. Secondly, okay, I'm not a Trump voter, and here's the reason why. Trump is not your fiscal responsible guy. Okay, that's what you're looking for. Okay, if you look at his time in office, okay, even prior to COVID, okay, he signed continuous resolutions and omnibus bills and signed them gleefully, okay, without sending him back to Congress saying, nope, you cut this budget. Okay, he's not fiscally responsible. If that's what we're looking for, I don't think Trump's our guy. That's just my opinion.
No, I think you make a good point on him not being fiscally responsible. I do think a lot of that may have been him being taken advantage of in the White House, not having the experience that he has now, and hopefully that would change.
I'm not buying that that's going to change. Okay, Trump likes to spend money. Okay, just like Democrats and Republicans like to spend money. Okay, he's not any different, in my opinion.
The man does have a gold toilet in his home, so I don't think that you're wrong. Trump does like to spend money. I appreciate the call, Susan. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's got the news.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. That breaking news in Murfreesboro, part of Medical Center Parkway near Ascension St. Thomas Hospital is closed for what police are calling an incident. Now, you can still get to the hospital, but not from Thompson Lane. You have to go the Broad Street side. First responders assessing the situation. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, there is a significant increase in the reward money for tips about the Laverne police officer shooting suspect John Drake Jr. The reward is up to $15,500 as the statewide manhunt continues. In our nation's capital, Tom Emmer of Minnesota has been chosen as speaker designee, but still faces a difficult task getting 217 votes needed to win the gavel. And in Georgia, Jenna Ellis is the latest former Trump campaign lawyer to plead guilty in the Fulton County election interference case. She did so tearfully. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. What's one of the biggest mistakes that I find that investors make? Well, it's typically buying based on past performance. We look at our 401k, we try to decide which fund should I buy, and tend to look at historical past performance over 3, 5, and you even hear investment advisors telling people to look at 3, 5, and 10-year track records. Problem is that what do markets do? They go up and they go down. Well, where did this have a great past performance? Here to here. So we end up buying high. We found that there was one study back in 1986, and it was called the Brinson-Hooden-Biebauer study. And they were looking at what drove investment returns more than anything else. And the study sort of looked like this. They said, stock selection, about 4% of investment differences were due to stock selection. About 2% was due to market timing differences. Asset mix, asset allocation, that was the big deal. Now, what they found, which was fascinating, was that when the pension plans engaged in these two activities, in one study it showed that 100% of the time, investment returns were lower and it increased risk. Not something you want when you're an investor. So this is something that we teach investors to help them sidestep some of these issues. Now, if you want to learn more about our approach to investing in financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call. Or you can call 615-851-1950.
11:36 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So I mentioned that I'm paying more for iced coffee these days, and with everything going on, you know, the world on the brink of World War III, Tom Emmer, the speaker designate, the Super Texters have decided to harass me for purchasing iced coffee. Keith texted and he said, iced coffee, do you have a man bun too? I don't, Keith. Scott said, you just lost some man points for not making your own damn iced coffee. I do sometimes. I do. I won't buy them anymore. Too pricey for me. You guys are hilarious. All right. Tom Emmer is he's going to be going to the floor for votes. Get, new Speaker of the House. Are you excited about that? I'm not. Tom Emmer is anti-electoral colleges. Just a few days ago, Politico had a report that Trump was telling allies he doesn't support Tom Emmer's speaker bid, and it's hard not to see why. He seems like what would Matt Murphy say? He would say a squish. Seems like a squish. Seems like a squish. Rocco in Lewisburg, you have a comment on World War III and RFK. What's up, Rocco?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
If I was any better, I'd be twin. So, World War III, I don't think it's going to happen for the simple fact that China, we owe them so much money that I was always told this. We owe them so much money that if we were to go to war with China, if China would spark up and just say, hey, we're about to attack America, not going to happen, but it would cripple the American economy. It would turn the American dollar into a piece of paper that we would burn on the streets for warmth. And China needs that money to sustain their economy back at home. Not going to happen. Let's see. Number 2, RFK. With him saying, okay, I feel like it's kind of this kind of situation. When you say, hey, I want to go do something, and like, hey, I want to go, I don't know, run this race, and they say, hey, you can't run this race. The only person that can run this race is this guy who's going to be representing, Team USA, so you can't do it. So it's like, hey, I'm going to go make my own country and run my own race, and I'm going to take all the, But I think he's going for reparations for the simple fact that that's going to take more away from Joe Biden. That's just my thing. That's what I think.
I totally think him coming out on the stance on reparations was a direct attack at Joe Biden and going after his voters as well. I think that's a good point. Thanks for the call, Rocco. Really appreciate you, man.
All right, thank you.
And yeah, as far as World War III goes, if we got into it with China, it would cripple their economy. Though I feel like I do feel like that would hurt us more. Who could China trade with if the U.S. wasn't around? Russia, India, Brazil, Iran, the BRICS countries. Who do we get goods from if China isn't around? Just gets a little bit slipperier.
It's hard to say, but I got it.
Slipperier. Extra slippy.
Yeah, it's extra slippy.
Yeah. But more of your calls, anything you want to talk about, 615-737-9986. We are getting to the end of the Chris Hand Show, but I'm so happy that you've been able to hang out with us all day long. There's so much going on that I feel like there's stuff we're missing. Mark on line 1, you have a comment on World War III. What's up, Mark?
World War III and JFK. JFK will pull more votes from Trump, because Democrats don't think for themselves. They're told how to think, told how to vote. They've been told JFK is bad. They're not going to vote JFK. They're going to vote Biden. Independents have done shown they don't like Trump. They're not all that well educated on politics. They're going to vote JFK. So.
You make a good point, Mark, and it's hard to disagree with you. If you look at everything going on, there are still Americans that support Joe Biden. It's unbelievable.
Yep. Oh yeah. And then World War III is not going to happen. like the man said before, the economy, China is in with us. They pretty much own us. Russia knows everything we do. There's not going to be World War III. It would be it would devastate the world. It wouldn't help anybody. And if they went nuclear, that's Armageddon in the world.
So you don't think that there's
World War III.
and you're more saying because of the amount of money that we trade back and forth with China would stop it.
Yes, it's China's economy, our economy, it's all tied in together. China don't want to fight us. Neither does Russia. They sit up there and talk a big game, but there's not going to be any confrontation there. We're not going to. Like if China decides to take Taiwan, all we're going to do, we're going to send a few missiles over there, send some money over there, and then once China takes it, we're going to walk away because that's what we're good at, going in, making a mess and walking away.
Well, maybe we'll walk away after 10 years of throwing billions of dollars at it. You know, if we were in the walking away business, we would have walked away after Ukraine, you know?
Well, you're right. You're right there, but we'll end up in the long run walking away from Ukraine, and we'll walk away in the long run. Taiwan, that was to happen.
I just feel like it seems like everybody's angling for escalation here. You know, Lindsey Graham's on TV hours after the attack screaming, we need to bomb Iran. It seems like everybody's getting on board with bombing Iran. And if we bomb Iran, Russia's involved. If Russia's involved, you know, everybody starts jumping in. It's a pig pile. And to me, I feel like us getting into a conflict with China hurts us more than China, because China could still trade with Russia, India, Brazil, and Iran and the BRICS countries. Who are we getting goods from?
They understand what they mean by bomb Iran, you know, blast Iran. They understand that that's killing millions of people. And that, you know, I know most of them hate us over there, but a lot of them don't. And there's no reason. Now, if you're going, there's going to be small skirmishes, and there's going to be wars like we have now, but there's not going to be a World War III.
Hey, I hope you're right, Mark. Thanks for the call. Really appreciate you. Steve in Lebanon, you got a comment on Dems and Trump. What's up, Steven?
Hey, how are you doing, sir?
Good, man. How we doing?
Good. I was just called in. I've been listening to you. I'll tell you why the Dems and Biden, I don't bet it's Trump, because Trump is a pure capitalist, and Biden himself is a socialist, and all your modern day Democrats are turned communist. Yep. That's the big issue. It's not to do with racism. It's basically pure communism versus capitalism. That's what's going on.
No.
And he hates and the Dems hate people like me and you have a true idea. They can't stand it. If it was up to them, they'd kill our free speech more than they would gun rights.
Oh, they would absolutely kill our free speech if it was up to them. And you can see them attempting it in Western countries all over the world. You can't even get news sites on Facebook in Canada anymore.
That's right. And that's the first sign of communism, when they shut down the free speech.
100%. Couldn't disagree with you there, Stephen. Thanks for the call. Really appreciate you. Troy in Winchester, you have a comment on the economy. What's up, Troy?
Yes, sir. Hey, you're talking about how Trump or how Biden's a big spender, but where's he spending his money at? On socialists, like the previous caller said. And Trump is not a socialist. He was spending big money to make big money. And that means more taxes were coming in. Look at the employment during the time of Trump, how even the African American employment was at the lowest wherever.
Yeah, it was African American, Hispanic, everything was at the lowest.
Women, yes, everything was going. So that means more taxes coming in.
Yep.
So that is, Trump's not a politician, and he was a big spender, but he was spending money to make money. And Biden's spending money to get more people to follow him.
Yeah, or to get those Biden kickbacks.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
That's right. Lay in your bed and get a kickback. Yeah, I hear you.
Exactly. Yeah, he probably made more money laying at the beach over the weekend than I've made all year.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Hey,
All right.
Appreciate the call,
So
Troy. Thanks so much.
You betcha. Have a good one.
Yeah, man, you too. Appreciate it. Yeah, jeez. Biden at the beach. Joe Biden at the beach. Jen Psaki had a comment on Joe Biden at the beach.
Even the clumsy efforts by the RNC and the usual suspects trying to make hay out of a video showing the president and first lady walking on the beach in Delaware this weekend. By the way, he also did many, many calls with foreign leaders and even the Pope.
Oh, by the way, he was even on the phone with the Pope. What does that have to do with anything? He was talking to the Pope, by the way. Just in case you're keeping score at home. Many world leaders called Joe on the beach. He had trouble hearing them because it was windy. That's how you know he was making calls on the beach. Okay, thanks. It's just, what a ridiculous cover.
There were lots of seagulls that messed up with the
usual suspects were there. There were seagulls trying to steal his snacks. You know, the usual suspects trying to make hay of this.
Make hay.
You know what I mean? The usual,
usual suspects.
50 Cent's calling him out on Instagram. Wake the bleep up, Joe.
Usual suspects.
The usual suspects. 50 Cent again. It's just,
gosh dang it.
Yeah, once again, 50 Cent is a thorn in the Biden administration side. Those usual suspects. John in Murfreesboro, you got a comment on World War III. What's up, John?
Hey, Chris. How you doing, bud?
Good, man. How we doing?
Good. So I truly do not believe that there will be a World War III. The reason being, with Ukraine, Russia, China, and Iran, Biden has basically given them free reins to do whatever they want to do. I believe that Ukraine and China have so much evidence on our administration right now. They're going to do whatever they want to do, invade whoever they want to invade, and they're going to keep pushing Biden to send them more and more money because they have so much evidence against him. And you watch, if Trump gets back in office and he puts all the sanctions and tariffs back on these countries, you watch how much evidence comes out against the Bidens from Ukraine and from China and from Russia and everything else and all the crooked dealings that he has done since he's been up there. It's all going to come out eventually, and there's nothing that the American people can do about it. They're just going to run us into the ground through debt. That's how they're going to destroy this country.
Yep, and it's working. It's working. Bidenomics is working. I think you're absolutely right, John. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. You know, never forget, Donald Trump was impeached for asking about evidence for Joe Biden's crimes in Ukraine. It was a perfectly fine phone call. 11:48 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Matt Murphy stepping in at noon. He's going to check in with us next. Let us know what you can expect on the Murphy Show today, right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN 11:55. Chris Hand, Matt Murphy, Mac Maury, Cowbell. What more do you need?
It's almost obligatory that somebody has to fake the cowbell now.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Maury did it.
You asked what we need. We need some more cowbell.
More cowbell.
So
I can do one.
So guys, I was the only one at the office yesterday. You both were off. There was.
I was looking for Maury. I went. He told me to stand outside of Gate 4 in Kansas City, and he would be there with a ticket. Nothing.
He's got the woo flu too.
You got the woo flu too.
That's right.
You were wooing at the golf course.
I was for a good cause.
You have to woo for a good cause.
You always
we don't woo for bad causes.
Charitable golf tournaments always give you that convenient excuse. Like nobody can say, "Oh, you just played hooky to play golf." No, it was for blood assurance. It was for a wonderful cause. Make them feel bad.
Yeah,
had a great time though.
I didn't do it for me.
No, you know who's a big fan of this radio station and this radio show? I'm talking about you.
My radio show?
Yeah. Rudy Gatlin.
Really?
Gatlin Brothers.
No kidding.
Yeah.
He knows me?
That was the best part of my day. I mean,
That's pretty cool.
Well, I know it was. I mean, it's cool that Blood Assurance is a wonderful organization, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not taking anything away from that. But it's the little things. And we don't do this for us. You know, egos are low in this building, as you well know, Chris Hand.
Yes.
But I admit that it's pretty cool that you're standing, getting ready for a golf tournament, and from across the lot, you hear, Murphy! And you look up and it's Rudy Gatlin.
That is pretty cool.
Holy crap, he knows who I am.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. That's dope.
I love that.
That is awesome.
So sweet.
But he said he liked my show more than yours.
He did. No, that's not true. That's not true.
He said, "Tell me more." I felt like you were burying the lead there.
No. He said, "Tell me more about this Hand guy," and I said, "Oh, he's phony baloney," and I kind of trashed you for a little while because that's what we do.
He uses the term rhino and uniparty.
And it's like, he asked me what part of Canada you were from, and I told him, and
the part with snow.
He's super unbased. I mean, yeah.
Grew up in an igloo.
Well, I'm just a little disappointed that I took a day off so you could handle all the problems, and all the problems are still here. We still got an issue over in the Middle East, and
I got so close to fixing it, and then we were like right up against it. It was like 11:48, and Pamela Furr kicked me out of the studio.
So you were right there on the cusp. And Pamela said, "I got this."
We were at the line. I handed off. She fumbled, and then now we're still in world chaos.
I'd like the redhead to know that was Chris Hand that said that you fumbled, not me.
Well,
look.
I set her up to fix all the world's problems. She was in a good position.
We're gonna get a speaker today. Woo! I'm tired. I'm so tired of this.
I am not excited about this at all. Nah. Tom Emmer.
I heard you trashing Byron Donalds earlier.
Byron Donalds he was. What do you say? You say squish. He was squishy.
You're not. I promise you're going to have to be a little squishy if you're going to win the speakership at this point, apparently, because Jim Jordan can't do it.
The secret votes came out. Tom Emmer got 90. Mike Johnson had 37. Byron Donalds had 33. Kevin Hearn, 31. And then everybody else just falls off a cliff. 90 for Tom Emmer? 33 for Byron Donalds?
Isn't Tom Emmer just like a poor man's Kevin McCarthy? What are we doing?
Yeah, and he doesn't like the Electoral College.
Huh.
Weird.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
On Super Talk 99.7 WTN.